Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Oh, how far we have come as a nation. I want to ask you a question. Who are we as people? Who are we? The New Hampshire Democratic activist and state representative candidate Keith Halloran said this right after the tragic plane crash that killed Ted Stevens. He posted on Facebook, quote, "I just wish Sarah and Levi were on board." People died on that plane. Sarah and Levi were not on it, but apparently shame was. Hello, America. I'm so glad you're here, and I want to thank you for watching. We are in an amazing and historic place and time in our country. We are in a time where we have to be better than who we were yesterday. And man, that's hard. That is hard to do. I would ask that you join me here every night and we help each other out, because we're in for some tough times. And I want to talk to you tonight about where we're headed. And I hope I'm wrong. But there's a couple of things that came out of the news in the last couple of weeks that are connecting for me in my head, and it makes me a little nervous. Let's start in Atlanta. There was quite an amazing scene just outside of Atlanta yesterday in the small suburb that is just, it's called East Point. Well, news spread that applications for Section 8 government housing were being accepted. Applications. Now, 40,000 people live in this little area. 30,000 of them showed up into a parking lot in the sweltering heat, hoping, get this, for a chance at getting on a waiting list for federal help paying the rent. Dozens were treated for heat-related issues. The crowd often broke into chaos. The media reported that it was the police who acted aggressively. Who even knows anymore? A toddler reportedly had some sort of seizure. In all, they handed out 13,000 applications. The prize, again, a chance at getting on a waiting list for 455 Section 8 homes. This is just to get on a waiting list for homes that aren't even available yet. I saw that and I thought, how bleak must your future seem to you if you actually think the best option is to go wait in line to get an application to be on a waiting list for housing that will not be available for years? Do this many people really believe their situation will not improve enough in the next few years to be able to afford their own place? And isn't that kind of mentality a self-fulfilling prophecy? Okay, so I see this disturbing news, and I see how many people have lost hope, I see the rest of the economic news, and none of it looks rosy. That doesn't look very positive. First, you have unemployment. Unemployment remains high at 9.6%. The Fed is downgrading the U.S. economic outlook, and the Fed, after Ben Bernanke said he would never do it, is now monetizing our debt. Monetizing our debt, buying our own debt. Very bad. Next, we just spent another $26.1 billion in new bailouts. Jobless claims unexpectedly rose to its highest level in 6 months. In July, we added $165 billion to the deficit that is already over $1 trillion. You have all of those. So now what does the president come out and say yesterday?
While we have fought back from the worst of this recession, we've still got a lot of work to do.
Okay, I agree with him. We have a lot of work to do, but we fought back from the worst. Did he see the scenes in Atlanta? I'm no economic expert, but I am a thinker. That doesn't make sense. I'm not an expert on war, but I am a thinker. Do you remember when the president, George W. Bush, when the president was on that ship and he said, mission accomplished. Do you remember this? And how the media went crazy. They're still going after him. Now, back in June, the president launched the Recovery Summer. May I ask how this is any different, besides the fact that they didn't make a big stupid sign to hang behind him? Where's the media? What he's saying doesn't match reality on the ground. So why is he saying it? Now, Bush claimed that mission accomplished was there because the ship had accomplished their mission. Not that the war was over, but that ship had accomplished their mission. Why is he saying this? Let me do something tonight that I'm not going to get any credit for, and I don't really care at this point. But let me assume the best of this president. If I'm the president of the United States and I have to tell you how bad it is, I tell you. But that's why I'm not the president of the United States. The president most likely cannot come out and say, wow, are we about to implode? Why? Because then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once the president says something like that, then people start to lose hope. And that is when things really start to fall apart. And there is still hope. The only problem is that we have an administration that is constantly telling the American people that they cannot make it without the government. If you vote for the government, they'll pay for your gas, they'll pay for your mortgage, they'll take care of you. We have celebrities like Michael Moore saying you're never going to make it. They've taught people not to believe in themselves anymore, but hope in the government. The people outside of Atlanta have seemed to given up on the idea of what makes America great. That if you put your nose to the grindstone and you plug away, tomorrow will be better. They've put hope here. May I contend, we don't need hope. We need faith. Faith is what we need. Faith in being able to use our God-given abilities. Faith to be able to call down miracles. Faith to expect that things will get better. I told you, what was it, 3 years ago, I think on radio, I said, you got to read up on the Weimar Republic. Read up on the Weimar Republic. Now, I had a guy who I referred to on radio as Deep Throat, a guy who was in all of the meetings. And when he saw the debt and the wall that was coming our way, and he told me about this time is when it was coming, he said, everybody is reading, Glenn. Everybody I know is reading on the Weimar Republic. Read up on it. Well, I did. But I didn't just read up on hyperinflation. I read up on the whole thing. And we are mirroring almost every mistake that they made that eventually led to hyperinflation, a breakdown of society, and eventually totalitarianism. In Weimar, once the average middle-class person realized that it didn't matter what they did, it didn't matter, they'll never get ahead. And this is what you're seeing now in Atlanta on the lower class. It doesn't matter what they do. They'll take out Section 8 housing 2 years from now because they know they'll never get ahead. When that moved in Germany from the lower class to the middle class lost hope. And then they decided they could rack up any bill, because it was falling apart anyway. They could drink, they could act, they could do whatever they wanted, because nothing mattered. They lost hope. And when people lose hope, they let loose. Morals in the Weimar Republic went out the window. It was a free-for-all. The attitude was evidenced by the Weimar Cabaret. I don't remember this movie, except I remember it being very, very popular. I think there was a famous song from it in 1972. I was 8 years old when this came out, so I never even seen it. But I got to watch it now, because this is based on the Weimar era cabaret. Clubs and shows in Germany degraded into mostly overtly sexual performances. Prostitution in Germany was decriminalized. Why? Because the government knew just opiate the masses. They started to say, you take drugs, you can drink, everything is fine, do it all. Because they wanted people to forget and keep themselves busy. Now, put yourself in this time period. My grandfather wouldn't even say the word pregnant in the 1970s. I remember my grandfather saying, hey, ladies, let's not use that word here. What? But he came from a time where Ricky and Lucy had to sleep in separate beds. We didn't even talk about it. This was decades.